Good afternoon, guys. How's everyone doing on this Sunday afternoon? Hope everyone is doing really well. Hope you're all in the best of health. Hope you're in the best of moods, and I hope you're the best version of yourself you could possibly be. Reason for that is because nowadays I can roll right. Nowadays I'm a reformed person. Nowadays I'm a drug-free person. Nowadays I have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of respect. I have solidarity. I have all in abundance. So welcome to my channel, guys, Joey Barnett TV, where I like to upload different content as much as I possibly can about my bad experiences mostly. But yeah, sometimes I do bring in good times, like this video is going to be about good times. So it's not all bad, and it certainly isn't bad from 2010 onwards, since I reformed myself and got my stuff together. I didn't realise on my last video that if I was promoting one of my friend's garages, I would not be able to run ads on my channel. I'm pretty green to YouTube, and I don't know these things. So this is one of the reasons why I'm uploading this second upload about MX motocross bikes, because of you know, it's good to have them ads, and it's good to have a little bit of revenue every now and then. It's nothing to write home about in any way, shape or form, and you certainly couldn't retire on it. But a few pennies every couple of months does help, and it gives you a bit of inspiration, it gives you a bit of motivation, and it gives you a bit of that oomph to want to upload more content. The main reason why I upload content is to put awareness out there, and secondly, I know that there's quite a few people that actually rely on my videos each day, and I feel it's my duty to serve my followers as best as I possibly can, guys. So yeah, guys, I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about motocross. So let's talk about when I first bought my KX250, and why I bought it. The reason I bought it is because I saved up enough money after a long time of waiting. You know, it's felt like a lifetime, but you know, probably a good part of 8 or 9 years it took me to get a bike, and get a trailer, get all the gear, and get everything what it takes to ride it legitly, because it's not an easy thing to do. And if you don't roll right in life, and you know, you're not working, and you're on the wrong side of the law, you certainly won't be able to be in the position where I'm in today. And I'm very grateful for that, for being in that position. As I say, I paid the highest price for my crimes, and it's only now really that, you know, I'm happy in life at the age of 54. Since 2010, since I met my missus, that's when I really spun my life around, and all the good times started happening. But up until then, you know, I was touch and go all of my life. So that's why I like spreading so much content, because I've got so many different stories, you know. A whole lifetime of misery, pain, and, you know, 10 years of joy now. So anyway, I do ramble on a bit, but I know you guys like it. Big shout out to all my subscribers, by the way. Thank you very much for commenting underneath every single one of my videos. It's all positive stuff. It's all inspiring. You guys inspire me, and I hope I'm inspiring you too, guys. Coffee's a lifesaver. So yeah, I've always loved bikes, all bikes, 2 strokes, 4 strokes. I'm not such a lover on trikes or quads. I've never really been into them. I've always been into 2 wheels, whether it be a 4 stroke or whether it be a 2 stroke. I haven't had much experience around 4 strokes, especially motocross bikes. I have with enduro bikes, KTMs, you know, and bits and pieces like that. But yeah, I've got more experience now around motocross bikes than what I've ever had in my life, because I've had one for the last 3 years. So let's jump back on the story. I bought my KX250. It was a whirlwind, to say the least. Went over it. My mate test rid it. I didn't test ride it because I was actually too scared to even ride it at that time. I just knew I had to have it there and then. When the bike started up and I heard the sound of that 2-stroke engine, da 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 da, and I heard I've smelt the 2-stroke smell, you know, and that feeling come back to me all them years ago, what I had when I was a child of motorbikes. I just got a rush about me. I just had a, it's the feeling that I can't really explain every time I'm in that position with bikes. I always get that same feeling every time, even when I put my helmet on or when I'm going out on my bike, I get that same rush. I get that same good feeling, sense of happiness, that you could say it could be. So yeah, I bought me 250, brought it home, and I left it in my mate's van for the first 5 days. I didn't even look at it, and the reason for that is because I couldn't actually believe that I had it. And secondly, I didn't have nowhere to store it at that time. It wasn't until a few weeks later when I actually got a lockup, and I rented a lockup to put the bike into, which is local to me, by the way. But yeah, it was a whirlwind buying my bike, and it just felt like that I had a big. It felt like, how can I explain the feeling of bringing the bike home and owning my first motocross bike ever since the age of 14? Euphoria was the feeling. Content. Finally, one of them ones. Finally, I've got what I've dreamt of all of my life. I've got my bike, and I brought it home, and I cherished it. I really cherished that bike. It just had a full engine rebuild, but there was quite a few bits wrong with it, which we didn't really notice. And the reason why we didn't notice them is because they wasn't really noticeable to the eye. Unless you got right close and underneath and jacked the bike up, you wouldn't see the problems what it had. And I didn't know it had the problems right up until I swapped it recently. But when I was riding it, it didn't have no problems. As I say, it just had a full engine rebuild, so the engine was absolutely crisp. One of the wheels was bent on the back wheel, but that was it. So yeah, I rid it for 2 years, and I kept it serviced, and I cherished it, and absolutely loved it. I loved the bits of it. I didn't build the bike from the ground upwards, but everything which I could do to the bike, I'd done to the bike. Everything possible, as far as taking the carburetor off, jetting it, putting plastics on it, putting new clamps on it, handlebar risers, tanks, shrouds, seats, tyres, brakes, and bits and pieces like that, guys. So yeah, I really went into it. And as I say, my first track was Ashdown. That was a whirlwind too. A feeling of euphoria. The first track I ever went to, it felt like, I'm finally here after all these years. It was overwhelming for me. I got upset, I got emotional. And no one else, none of my friends or anyone around me could actually see what was going on inside my head, or could feel what I was feeling. But I was crying for being happy for the first time. One of the first times in my life, that was cries of joy. Which is very, very emotional. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I rid my bike for 2 years. I had that for 2 years. I went to Mill Lane with it in Lingfield, and it turned out, look, I know the guy who owns it, Lee Tolan, very good friend of mine, and really good track over there. I rode that a few times, and then I've been to a few enduro tracks, action tracks, Tunbridge Wells, and been on enduro courses. Still not really realising that my two-stroke motocross bike, SX, is a motocross bike. I didn't really realise it wasn't an enduro bike until someone actually told me a few months after I got it. That, going over them big tree trunks and them stumps and jumping over rocks and bits and pieces like that could potentially ruin the bike, because it's not an enduro bike, it's a motocross bike. And I took that on board. I really did take that on board. There's a lot of difference between enduro bikes and motocross bikes, 2 strokes and 4 strokes. Enduro bikes are set up a lot different than motocross bikes. They've got a bigger flywheel for a start. They plant to the, especially the 4 strokes, they've got more engine parts. They plant to the ground a lot better. They're set up for, all terrains. So in a way, they're stronger than motocross bikes. Motocross bikes are set up for tracks and jumps and bits and pieces. Like, it took me many years to learn all this, by the way. But yeah, I've learned it in abundance now. I absolutely love this sport to the bits. But to be honest with you, all the time I had my 250, I actually let a few of my pals ride it who have been riding bikes for a good part of 15 years every weekend, and not one of them was able to pin my bike at any motocross tracks or keep it in the power band. It was that much of an animal, and it was, you know, riding it, you felt every single bump and it shook your whole body, do you know what I mean? And just the feeling of like euphoria really, and the feeling of like riding an old school two-stroke, it give me that in abundance. But yeah, it was a very dangerous bike for me because, as I say, I was the novice and wasn't ready for a 250. So I didn't put it up for sale or nothing like that, but I just mentioned it to one of my mates. He mentioned it to one of his mates, and they got back to me. Now the KX125, which was a 2008. And for me, the reason why I swapped it, and the only reason why I swapped it, is because it'd be a lighter bike. It'd be a lot more manageable for me, and not as snappy on the throttle. But yeah, I swapped up my 250 and bought this, swapped it for the 125. It's been bored out to a 140, by the way. It's very, very fast. And it's got all the trick bits put on it, all the RFX bits on it, and the Boyson covers. And I mean, the 250 had a lovely engine in it, had a lovely frame in it, and it was a lovely bike, but it did need that final touch. And to be honest with you, I didn't have that type of money to put that final touch onto it. The rims, you know, and bits and pieces, like, you know, rims can cost up to £1,000 unless you put cheap ones on it for 500 quid. But yeah, this 125 has got everything with it, and that's what I've currently got at the minute. So I'm going to leave this video here, guys, because I'm going to be 100% doing a part 3 to this. I hope you enjoy my content, guys. Have a good day. Peace.